Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making the cowl that you saw in the thumbnail. And this cowl actually is a part of a matching set. There is a hat pattern as well. All of these are going to be in a special playlist. So, let's go ahead and get started with this part of the set. You will need a pair of scissors, maybe some stitch markers, definitely some type of needle to sew in your ends. And I'm going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and push this stuff out of the way. And this yarn is a 4-weight yarn. And it's a random red heart yarn. So the first thing you're going to want to do is place a slip knot on your hook, and we're going to chain 80. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to show you how I do my rings, so that way if you're interested in doing it that way you can. So I'm going to start with a chain of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I remove my hook. I'm going to bring my hook up from the bottom of the stitch, insert my hook, and insert my hook back through the loop that it originally was in from chaining. The whole time my thumb is holding everything nice and steady. So I know that I was at chain 5. I'm going to continue to chain until I have reached 80. And this stays on your hook. Just continue to chain like this. And once you have reached your 80 stitches, now all you do is slip that over the top of your last loop. And you're now connected and you are not twisted at all. See that? Now you're ready to work into the stitches, the bumps on the sides of your work. All you have to do is chain 1 and start working. So that is how I join my rings. I'll do that one more time with you. And this time I'm going to place the loop on my hook, slip knot on my hook, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know I'm at 5. I'm going to hold that last chain, raise my loop up a little bit, remove my hook, come from the bottom side of that chain, insert my hook, come back to my loop, place my loop back on my hook, and now I can continue to chain. Okay, so I'm at 10 now. I'm going to continue to go on until I have reached 80 chains. Once I have reached 80 chains, I will slip this over the end here, like I showed you, and continue on to round 1. All right, I will be back in a moment. Okay. I now have my 80 chains, and I'm going to just, as I showed you before, slip through like that. And now I'm ready to work into those bumps. I am going to chain 1 and single crochet into that very first bump here. There we go. And I'm going to continue placing 1 single crochet into each of those bumps. Now the bumps are on the back side. There's your V parts of your stitch. We're on the back side working into those bumps. So place 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. And I will meet up with you at the end. Okay, so once you have come to the end, you pull that back out. You just slip stitch to your very first single crochet, and you should have 80 single crochets all the way around. Now what we're going to do is that very first single crochet that you just slip stitch to, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to skip the next one, and into the following one we're going to place a V stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet back into that same stitch. This is your repeat around. Skip 1, place a double crochet in the next one. Skip 1, place a V stitch into the next one, and continue doing that all the way around. I'll meet up with you at the end. We'll talk about how many V stitches you should have and how to join. Okay, and you should have ended with a V stitch. So we're going to count our V stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So now we're going to join, and we're going to start our 2-row repeat. And if you've already made the hat, you kind of know where I'm going with this. But if you haven't, here we go. So I'm going to slip stitch to that chain 3. Just like that. All of these double crochets are going to be front post double crochets. So I want this chain 3 to resemble a front post. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to front post slip stitch first. That right there makes it appear to be a front post double crochet. Now chain 3. And this is your repeat around. We're going to make a puff stitch in the V stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, and pull up a loop, and you're going to do that 3 times, and you will have 7 loops on your hook. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 loops. Yarn over and go through all 7, chain 1. We work into those chains on the next round, so don't make it too tight. Front post double crochet around that next double crochet. Not part of your V stitch, but the next double crochet that's standing by itself. Okay, let's go ahead and do that repeat one more time together, and then you can repeat it around. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And we're going to do that until we have 7 loops on our hook, which is 3 times. Yarn over and pull through all 7 loops and chain 1. And then front post double crochet following the V stitch. I hope that that made sense. Go ahead and continue around. This is row 1 of your 2-row repeat. I will meet up with you at the end. We will join the same way we joined our starting round. Okay, so I've come to the end of the round, and again, I'm going to just slip stitch to that chain 3, and then front post slip stitch, and now it is a front post. Okay, so round 2 of your repeat rounds, chain 1, 2, 3. And in that chain 1 space above the puff stitch, you're going to place a V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And now you're going to front post the front post. So front post double crochet around the front post double crochet. Again, this is your repeat all the way around. V-stitch on top of the puff. And then front post double crochet, that front post double crochet. Continue on around, and you will repeat those 2 rounds, your puff stitch round and your V-stitch round, until you have reached the height that you would like. My recommendation is to not go any less than 18 rounds. That way you have enough squishiness and bulkiness that it can come up to your nose, as well as give you a little extra warmth, because this being a little bit of a see-through pattern, we want to make sure that you can also scrunch it together and get some warmth. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on, and I'll tell you how many rows I ended up with. Okay, so I am back, and we have done, or I have done, 20 rounds with the 2-row repeat, including our very first row down at the bottom of V-stitches. And how I count that, knowing that every other row is a puff stitch row, I just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. And I'm ending on a puff stitch round. And now this is completely optional to you. You can just do a round of crochet, single crochet all the way around if you'd like, or you can do, something else. What I'm going to do is follow up with the same as the beginning. I am going to do 1 round of single crochet to start with. And I'm going to make sure that I have 80 single crochets when I finish. So just keeping track of where you're at. I'm going to get started right here and single crochet into that first stitch, and then place a single crochet on top of the puff, single crochet in the next stitch, and just continue working around until I have my 80 single crochets and I'm back at the beginning. Once I have reached the beginning, I will slip stitch and then show you what I'm going to do to finish this cowl off to give it just a little bit something extra. All right, once I finish that single crochet round, I will return. Okay, I've made it all the way around. I've slip stitched to my very first single crochet. And now what I'm going to do to finish this off and give it a decorative edge is I'm going to do what's called the crab stitch, or also known as the reverse single. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and show you how to accomplish that stitch, and then I'll leave you to it. Okay, so what you need to do is, generally we would just go to the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and single crochet, right? Well, that's not what we're doing. We're going backwards. So take your hook, bring it down, and insert it into the stitch behind where you just slip stitched. Yarn over and pull up a loop. You now have 2 loops on your hook, just like a single crochet. So yarn over and single crochet. Again, we're going to go to the next single crochet. Go behind, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and go through 2. So we're just going backwards and single crocheting. And I'm holding that first loop like this. I grab hold of it so that way it doesn't get hung up and pop this one, pop through that one. I kind of keep it separate. And now I'll show you what it looks like. So it gives this coiled looking edge. So you're going to do that around the top and the bottom, all the way down at the bottom. And I have another set completely finished. It is dark, but I would like to show that to you so that way you can see what it looks like when it's finished. So there we are, completely coiled look all the way around with the reverse single. And I've done it on the top and the bottom. Okay, so here is my completed set. This is the hat, which the tutorial for is in the same playlist that this cowl will be found in. And here's the cowl. Now, if you're wondering how tall this cowl is, I will measure both of them because this, I used Heartland yarn and the other was Red Heart. So I'm about right at 10 inches on this one. And with this one, I'm going to give a little bit because I have not completed both ends on it. But I'm going to give just a hair. And it's right about the same. It's just about 10 inches. It's just a hair over. And that was using Red Heart Super Saver. Now with the Heartland, I've used one hole for the hat and the cowl both. I used one hole and about a little less than half of a second skein. And these skeins have 251 yards in them. And so I used one and a little bit less than half of a second one for both the hat and the cowl set. So 2 balls of Heartland will get you 1 complete set for sure. And so that would be roughly a little over 300 yards for a full set. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you enjoy making these patterns as much as I did making the pattern up for you. I hope that it is easy enough to understand and the tutorial is easy enough to follow. All right, everybody. Until next time, bye for now. Be blessed and be a blessing.